Well, welcome back everybody. My name's Andrew and you're watching the Kelley's Country Life. So to all my normal viewers, does the color look a little different? Goodness gracious. The green has been driving everybody crazy so much that dark looking green, well, it was a setting in the camera that really had the green off. So I played around with the settings for a little while this morning with the GoPro. I have it as close to natural color as I can get it, although I had to put it back into an auto mode, which really makes the light go crazy. So we'll see how this goes. But y'all were getting a closer look to the green. It's still not perfect, but that Grinch pea green, well, it's gone because, well, it never existed. So today's episode is not about paint. We're going to finish up some electrical. We're putting switches in today, regular switches, decorator switches, three-way switches. We're going to show how to get that wired up. Those are new to me. And then we're going to jump on the porch and kind of do all the outside receptacles. Then take one quick look around to make sure everything is set up and ready for the inspector's inspection that's coming. By the time you are watching this video, he may already be out here doing the inspection. We're trying to get power pulled to the house. We had to get his thumbs up first. And he wants the majority of the house wired and ready for him to come out and test and inspect. So that's what we're going to do today. Maybe a little bit boring, probably going to be a lot of fast forward since there's repetitive stuff. Enjoy. So as I'm out here wiring up these outside receptacles, it's worth passing along a little bit of knowledge and something that I found out. Again, I'm just a homeowner figuring this all out, but might as well regurgitate some of this information that I've read and learned or that y'all have passed along. So if you look at a typical inside receptacle, you'll notice on the side there is a gold bar that ties both these terminals together. So technically there is not a line and a load side on these. And what I mean is line is your power in, load is what's going out, because it's very common to jumper from receptacle to receptacle. You don't run a wire to every single one or pull a circuit, a home run or breaker to every one. You just daisy chain wires on the wall and you tie them together at the receptacles. That is not the case on these GFI ones that I'm installing outside. And the reason I'm installing these outside was I could not get any more GFI breakers locally, so I can put a standard breaker in and run GFI plugs that I could find locally. It's just been a nightmare getting what I needed. So if you look on the back sides of these, or more importantly the side, you don't have that strap tying the top and bottom terminal together. And if you read on the back, that says line. This is your input side. Your silver screw is always your neutral. Your hot side or black wire goes to your solid gold. And then you'll notice load or charge side. The reason that's important on this type of receptacle versus your standard inside one is when these trip, anything that's on the load side, it'll actually trip out as well, which makes me wonder why I couldn't put normal receptacles out here, but the first receptacle in this daisy chain outside line just be one of these. Y'all let me know if that's possible. If you can actually do that, if that would pass code or not. I'm just going ahead and running these expensive GFI plugs everywhere so they all can trip should they have a problem. But keep that in mind. Load side, that's for the wire going to the next receptacle. Line side is your input that's actually the power that's coming in from the breaker itself. Otherwise, these don't work correctly as far as protecting everything downstream. That's what they're supposed to do, trip and kill everything on that circuit. Just thought I'd pass that along because you can wire these up backwards. All right, so I'm wiring up some more of these smoke detectors or fire alarms that I have in the house. And as you can see, we have an extra wire here. I had to run a 14-3 wire throughout the house linking all these together because it may be code, but I know it's highly recommended that not only do you put fire alarms in that are battery powered like we're all typically used to, but you hardwire them in, and this red wire actually loops to all the other fire alarms that I have. So if one single one goes off, it activates all of them. Very loud, very easy to hear, especially if you were in a much bigger house than ours and one was, say, up in the attic, for example, a fire started there. Chances are you have no idea, you may not hear that fire alarm, but since this red traveler wire is going to activate the rest of them, including the one in your bedroom, you're going to hear these no matter where they go off in the house. Now this one I am very cautious about. This is in the hallway. The kitchen's right there. Although we're not going to do a whole lot of frying and heavy cooking in the kitchen, this one could wind up being a problem out here, picking up the particulate that they look at. So I may have to go to what's called a heat rise smoke detector, which looks at temperature, not particulate in the air. And if it notices a certain rise in temperature, say if there's a fire, then it goes off. That may be something I have to do right here since I'm so close to the kitchen. But time will tell. I bought a bulk pack of some of these cheaper ones. We're gonna put them in. If we have any issues with them, we'll swap out whichever one's the problem for that heat rise style. Also, something that I found that was so interesting was we had to submit a set of electrical plans before we could even pull a building permit. Electrical engineered plans. They only had 2 smoke detectors for our entire house. One in the bedroom behind you, one in the closet. And I think code says a smoke alarm, smoke detector, only has to be in a living area. I still found it crazy that only 2. Well, I went ahead and installed, I think 5. I've got one in the attic, one in the loft. I put one out here in the hall. I've got one in the bedroom, one in the closet. So I've got the majority of the house covered. And you definitely want one at the high spot because, well, smoke and heat rises. So the loft made good sense. I don't know why there was only 2. All right, it's an overcast, rainy day, so it's going to be hard to see. But I have purchased one of these smart switches. This one will actually hook up to your home Wi-Fi network, and it's my understanding, as long as I just set up a home Wi-Fi network, I don't even have to have internet, which I don't have. But this is controlling the back porch lights. You know, we're going to be doing a lot of entertaining out there, and I already knew about these switches, so I was like, hey, I'll keep everything inside protected. This has an up and down built-in dimmer, powered off and on, and you can also download an app and control this from your phone outside. So if we're out there entertaining, we want to turn the lights up or down, bam, we don't have to walk back in the house. We don't have to have a switch outside in the weather, none of that stuff. Straight from your phone, which you pretty much always have on you. All right, so all I'm gonna do, I've got all these wires labeled. I'm just gonna hook all my neutrals together. That's what you do with switches. Just put a big wire nut on there, and then you're left with all your single black wires that go out and control all the different lights that I have labeled here, from the flood lights to the side porch lights, back porch lights, and oh, there's also a fan going on the back porch, so I'll have a switch going to that as well. And I've also got a 3-way wire if we wanted to do another light near that fan. All right, so it's pretty straightforward with this. You got your green ground wire, your white neutral wire, your black live wire, and your red load wire. So these will be the 2 that actually bring power in and send it out to the lights themselves. All right, so I have a slidable, adjustable dimmer switch right here that is a slightly different color than the rest of them. Didn't notice that. That's going to be for the side porch lights, so we can turn them up or down however we want. We have the corner floodlight control right here. Let's see here. This is going to be for the fan on the back porch, and this is the Wi-Fi dimmer for the back porch lights. And it looks like I got a little more adjusting to do with all of this. I'll have to continue to play with that to get everything to look right. Over here, we're going to be wiring in our last three-way switch. I did one upstairs, one right here. It's also over in the hall. So you can, no matter what door you enter the house, you can at least flip one light on in right here, which is actually going to be the bar top light, and light up. 99% of the time we're going to come in that back utility door, but should we come in this door right here, we have a switch over here to turn some light on in the house as we walk around. Also in this one, our outside door light right here, I'm wiring up as well. That way, if you need to flip a light on to see how to go out the side of a door or flip a light on to go inside of the door, they're in their own separate box right here. So it's easy to know you can get one or the other for entry and exit. The rest of these can stay in their own switch panel for all the side porch lights, like I said, fans, things like that. I thought it'd be a good idea to put your entry and exit lights in the same box together. All right, now we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to put all of our neutrals twisted together with a wire nut. We've already did that with the grounds, but we will make a couple jumpers to go to these two switches. And then you're left with, this is the three-way wire. See, it's got the red, extra red, what they call a traveler wire in it. So you'll have power that comes across through these two traveler wires, depending on the position of the switch over there. I've got a three-way switch right here with a black common and two traveler wires as well. So that black common will actually get hooked up to power. We have our two traveler wires coming from the other switch that'll go to these two gold terminals. And obviously a green for ground. We'll make a pigtail in a minute. So depending on what position this switch is in and what position the other one's in will determine those traveler wires, how they get lit up, and what ultimately sends power up to the lamp itself. It's kind of a little bit difficult to understand, but just remember when you're running a 3-conductor wire that your black is your common or your hot. So wherever you have power coming in at, you'll hook that up. And then everything else in your 3-way wire going back and forth between the switches is your two traveler wires. And then obviously white is always neutral, always hooks up together. All right, so I had a viewer bring up a good point of something to test here before the inspector gets here. I'm completely done with all switches, receptacles, everything except the ceiling lights on the porch and in the living room because, well, we don't have the roof up yet. But if you take a digital multimeter and turn it to this function right here, that's called the continuity function. And it tests continuity between two locations, basically. So if I touch these together, it makes a tone. So if I have a wire shorted out anywhere with all this wiring that I've just done between the neutral and the hot, it'll beep, it'll let me know. So he said to throw all your breakers into the off position. And what I can do then is stick one of these probes, if I can find a location to get it in, up here on the neutral bar. And then I can go along and test the hot on every single breaker. And we do not want to hear a beep. We do not want to hear that these are together somewhere. But now is the time to find that. No power, nothing on the panel. And if we do find that, we'll look at the breaker location, go pull the receptacle or switch back out and see if we have anything that's shorted or touching. Because that can happen. Although I was very careful putting my stuff back in, a ground could pop out. It could come over and touch a hot. You know, things can come loose. All right. Uh-oh. And look at there. I'll show my mistakes too. Every breaker checked out except, where was it? This one right here. The fourth 15 amp down. Let's see what that is. That's going to be on a lighting circuit. Let's see if that cuts off. I have a weird switch I installed in one of the bathrooms that I don't know which way is off or on. You don't want your switches on actually making contact up to the lamp itself. So if this goes away now, it's just because the switch was in the on position. That's what it was. All right, so I just went back through, checked everything again. It all checked out great now that I found that switch that was in the on position. So I think we're safe to power this up and test it after the inspector comes and gives me the thumbs up. All right, so I'm stepping outside where you can actually see me. It's getting late in the day. Another long work weekend wrapped up right there. Maybe one of these days, I get some of this stuff behind me, I'm gonna take a weekend off from working, but this was exciting. So everything inside is wired up now, ready to go, and we're just waiting on the inspector. He'll be here in 1 day. Like I said, by the time you are watching this, I think he's already did his inspection. We'll see if we get the thumbs up for the power company to come pull power, or if he finds something that we have to redo. It is what it is. If he does find something, we'll take care of it. Thank y'all so much for watching. Hopefully you're enjoying it.